Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and walk you through what Arduino Create looks like and kind of some of the key things to note. First of all, you see this yellow banner here. If when you open it up you see this yellow banner, it means the plugin is not opened or installed. And so if you're on a personal device, you may need to install the plugin yourself. If you're on the school device, it means you might need to open it. So it means you forgot to open it, so you go back to the desktop and open that up first. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and turn that back on, and you'll see that when it sees it, this banner disappears. For my particular case, sometimes it doesn't notice it, and so like in this case, there it goes. So it disappeared now, which means we're good to go. Okay, so a couple things to note. We're going to look over here. So we have our sketchbook, which is this right here, all the sketches that we've made. You can make folders, so you can create a new sketch. You can let's see, so you can open up a sketch, you can select a bunch, you can create a new one. When you create a new one, I recommend renaming it, and so the way to rename it is to find it in your sketchbook, and then you have this little drop down. You can choose to rename it, to download it, to share it, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and delete this one, but you could choose to rename it and name it kind of according to whatever you're using it for. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and delete this one. You can also make folders. I'm trying to think right now. Oh, here. So this button right here would make a folder, and then we can also import a sketch. Okay. Over here we also have examples. So if you want to look at a sample sketch that comes kind of preloaded here, you can pull up any of these basic ones. We have the blink sketch, which we're working with now, and then a whole bunch of others, and so you can get to kind of whatever depth you want here. And then you have sample sketches that come from libraries, and we'll talk more about these later. Okay, we have libraries here, and again we'll come back to libraries later. It's not loading for me right now, but libraries are tools that we can use, and we'll learn more about as we kind of get into this. We have this tool called the monitor, which is it's called the serial monitor, and we use it for communication with the Arduino. It's going to send messages to us through here. This reference tab, I think this is kind of like a place to kind of learn about these different functions and stuff. And then let's see, sometimes you could look stuff up. I think in this editor we can't look stuff up though. And then if we come down to our, well, there's a features usage, so you'll note that there's like a number of compilations. You get 200 seconds of compilations per day on the free plan, and that's a lot, but you can use it up fast if you're not being careful. And then we have up to 1,000 sketches. We shouldn't use that up. And then in the preferences here, you can change the font size. So mine's at 14. You could change, say, to 24. You have can choose between the light theme here and the dark theme here. You can choose to save when verifying and uploading, or you can choose to enable autosave. I recommend enabling autosave. The one thing I'll say is with autosave, sometimes you accidentally delete stuff, and if you forget to undo, then it's gone if you don't undo it. So I could see why you might want to do the save when verifying and uploading instead, but it's up to you. The way that you know whether it's saved or not, if I type something, you can see it turns yellow here, and then when it saves, it turns to black again. So it's unsaved. You'll see that yellow bar there. So if you have enable autosave off, you can see that this remains unsaved until I go over to here and click save, and then it kind of disappears. I can do the same thing. So it's the yellow bar here. I'm going to choose to save, and I'll flatten out. I personally like having autosave, so I'm going to turn it back on, and it's really up to you. Okay, so then I'm just going to close out this area here, so we have our screen. So this is the board selector, and so it doesn't notice any boards there right now. If there was one, we'd see like a port menu here, and so if you have the board connected and you're not seeing the port here, or it's not popping up right away, then again that plugin might not be turned on. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead now and plug in a board so we can see what happens. Okay, so I've gone ahead and plugged in this board. You'll see right here it says it has been connected, and then when I go to select it here, we can see it's right there and it's detecting the port. I can select the other board or port and have the port there, etc. But we're using the Arduino Uno, so we want the Arduino Uno here, and it's automatically detecting which port it's connected to. Okay, and so now it's linked. If I want to verify this sketch, so if I want to just check to see if everything compiles and there's no errors, I click this one. If I want to run it, I click this one. Now, something important to note is that when you click upload, it's going to verify it automatically. So if I want to send it to the board, I'm going to just click this one. I don't click this one, then this one, because you're compiling it twice, and that uses up your compile time. So I don't click this and this. The only reason I click the check mark is if I want to check what's here without sending it to the board. Okay, which I do right now because there's actually a program on the board. So it's going to compile this without sending it to the board because I'm not ready to change what's on that board currently. And so it says success, done verifying. It tells you how many bytes it's using. And so this looks like it has 32 kilobytes of storage on this particular one. And so we're using 924 of that, of the bytes. And then there's kind of talks about the space you're using. But it will also indicate any errors that occurred. So something you'll notice is that all the lines that have code on them, minus kind of these, what we would call like the opening and closing of the functions, have semicolons. So if I delete a semicolon and I verify here, you'll see that we're going to end up with an error. Okay? And so you can see it turns red there, it turns red right here, and if we look down here, it's going to tell us in function void setup. So void setup is our function. It says error expected semicolon before closing brace. So I have the closing brace, it says it's before that. So if I look to the line before that, there's a missing semicolon there. I add that semicolon, and then I'm good to go. Okay, and that we no longer have an error. Okay. Okay, so one last thing, the this tool right here is, as I said, is the serial monitor. So the reason I didn't want to change the program on this board is because the current one is actually sending data here based on some readings from sensors. So if I click right here, you can see there's data coming in, and it's scrolling through. You can actually change the rate that the data is being sent. This is something I can control when I write the code. If I change it here, then let's see, disconnect, connect. Let's see, this must be for transmission. I was thinking that it would have some issues, but it looks like it's not. So anyway, the default is kind of this 9600. Okay. And yeah, we'll be using this as a tool that you can use to see what the board is reading from the sensors, as well as for troubleshooting things, etc. And so this will be a very useful tool as we learn to write code and to do different things with the Arduino. Okay, so if you have any questions, definitely let me know, and we'll kind of get into on the next one what these different lines do, and kind of start to understand how some of this code works.